Hello, my name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. I'm also the creator of the concept known as common sense self-mastery. Elon Musk, as reported in Rolling Stone by Neil Strauss, has gone through divorces. Now, some of us already knew that. He's gone through about 2 divorces. And what this has to do with you is, well, think about it. Elon Musk is a billionaire. And he has created SpaceX. He is also the creator of Tesla. And he's tall. And when you ask the average woman, what they want in a man, they want a tall man, successful man, and he's smart, right? I even got a good sense of humor. He was quoted as to watching South Park and Rick and Morty in the article itself. So my question is this: Have you yourself wondered why? How is that possible that someone as successful as Elon Musk is going through relationship issues if he seemingly has everything? And it's not just him. If you look at people like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, other successful men and women, Lady Gaga recently, as of this year, early this year or last year, said that she called off her engagement with Taylor Kinney. Now, I'm not talking about these things to be a gossip queen or a tabloid king, etc., etc. That's not what I'm getting at. My thing is that these are things that come as a shock, I think, to the average person that isn't at the position of power and influence as these movie stars and entrepreneurial moguls. Have you yourself ever had trouble understanding what exactly is occurring? I know I have. And Neil Strauss in his article wrote that Elon Musk has classic codependence. And what I'm going to do today is really go into that. You see, myself as a teenager, I myself struggled with codependency to a degree. And a lot of my friends do too. But for example, I actually got to be with the woman that was my high school sweetheart. I was actually with her for several years. And, I think that in love and relationships, it's common to see the games of power and control, jealousy, these dynamics like, hey, why are you talking to him or why are you talking to her? Things like this that are pretty standard in the human experience. Lo and behold, after several years of being together and having our own struggles with, differences or what we wanted out of a relationship, whether it was family right now or not, my first relationship also, just like anybody that's popular, just like anyone that's successful, I had a breakup. It was pretty challenging and pretty hard to let someone that was such an important part of my life at that time to just let that person go. And in many ways, when you're with someone like that at that length of time, you'll find that part of your identity kind of goes with them, and it's a very weird feeling. And if you've never experienced it, I don't wish that upon you. It's common enough that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. My second relationship, so Elon's been married twice and just broke up. His last girlfriend just broke up with him, etc., etc. And he was going through some stuff where, anyway, we'll go into that in a bit. But my second relationship was one of, more, I met online. So it was one that kind of felt more, more modern, more computer driven, because I didn't get to meet her in person first. And, it was good for a while. But just my heart wasn't in it. And since my heart wasn't in it, and there was long distance after some time, we started long distance, then we moved close together, and then became long distance again. And my heart wasn't in it in that relationship. So lo and behold, I felt that it was best to let that go. And she's currently married, and I'm very happy for both of these people are currently married now, and I'm very happy for those people. Myself, I continued, and eventually I guess I met my match. They say that in a relationship, if you're the person there's 2 types of people. There's a person that is the good one and the bad one. And if you don't know which one you are, you're the bad one. And so, that's sort of an exaggerative position because everybody has a story and everybody has their rights. I would say that in the third relationship, I clearly felt like the good one, and that's when I really could sort of laugh at that idea as far as who was the bad one, who was the good one. So the prior two, I'll go ahead and say, I needed some work on the first two. By the third relationship, I was finding that I was putting more effort, and sort of just going nowhere with it. It seemed like the more I cared, the more I tried to make it work long term, it seemed like the more it backfired on me. So lo and behold, in order to self-persevere and not go crazy and not lose all my finances and not go into a tailwind of just complete nothingness, I let that relationship go 3 years ago. Since then, we've managed to have an amicable, if this person really needs to talk to me, I'll talk to them. But other than that, 3 years of healing have really done me well. But coming back to the Elon Musk story, this is where I found that it was very profound. This older gentleman, he's in his 40s, mid 40s now. This older gentleman was talking about how he himself had these relationship issues and marriage issues, and so it goes to show that somebody that can be a billionaire, 45-year-old billionaire, I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't be able to tell you how good looking he is, but I do know that it's I'm sure he's good looking enough for someone to not leave him based on looks, or he's successful enough financially to not be left for he can't pay the bills. In one of his books, or the book about him, I read that he was like, they were talking about how he himself said like a woman needs about 13 hours a week of attention. So 13.9 or 13.5 hours. So he's such an engineer, I think, that he's even managed to come up with this metric of 13.5 hours. Now, if someone's worth billions of dollars, or a company's worth billions of dollars, and he's an engineer, it's safe to say that it's not surprising that someone like that has managed to equate a metric or put a metric to the amount of time needed. Now, time being a very valuable resource, it's not surprising that he had to come up with some kind of valid solution. So, and in that article, Elon Musk talked about how he really couldn't be alone. And that was one of the things that Neil Strauss pointed out, that he couldn't be alone. And as soon as he had that breakup, he was going through a depression. His last breakup, he was spiraling through a depression, and he was announcing the Tesla 3 or something like this, and that he was depressed while everybody was excited. And when he presented that last car that he presented as of lately, or the last time he presented a car, he was actually pretty depressed. He was actually pretty depressed, fighting depression. And he recently went, I think he was hanging out, in the article it talks about how he was hanging out with his former girlfriend. And so, because he's really preventing being alone. Well, and in many of us, you watching this may experience similar things. You may experience this void, this inability to be alone, or if you break up, you kind of call your former girlfriend or your former boyfriend, and you try to sort of, kind of mend things to a degree, at least to be friends, because it's very difficult to be alone. And what I found so interesting is that even this mega, ultra successful billionaire has trouble being alone. And so today I wanted to tell you a little about what I've done in my life. See, these meditation beads aren't something that I wear just for a trend at all. As a matter of fact, they serve a very spiritual, religious, and self-nourishing purpose in my life. These meditation beads, which I bought in 2015 up in Austin, just got them randomly at some yoga shop. I went looking for them, but I got them. In any case, back in 2014, I actually embraced the practice of meditation more. So I've talked about it consistently, how I started wanting to meditate around 2007, didn't really make a commitment until 2012. After doing a lot of yoga, 2012 I started. I didn't break ground on that and make some momentum until 2014. Now, in that process of getting into meditation in 2014, day by day, I did like a 60-day challenge to myself, of which I then made a YouTube video to report. I started breaking ground and facing those inner demons that inner demons. It can be like these inner tremulous waters within. It's hard to describe, but stillness can be felt within. Like today I haven't meditated, and I feel a certain level of anxiety, but it isn't high, but I feel it. Whereas I could see how if I haven't meditated at all, it'd be far more difficult to make a video like this on a Saturday evening, while everybody's sort of looking for the fun thing to do. I'm in front of a video camera looking to establish this sort of sanity in a world full of like temptations and, there's like, there's so much to do. There's so much drinking and alcohol. And it's sort of just like an illusion, but it's hard to find that stillness sometimes. If you know what it tastes like to be a party person, it's difficult to kind of find the stillness to center your mind and say, this is what is needed of me in order to progress forward, just like this video. Now, I do attribute this ability to be alone, this stillness, to largely in part to meditation. And there's many ways to meditate. But they track, the transcendental meditation is where you say a mantra, you focus on the Christ center here as you close your eyes, and you focus on the breath. That's the general idea. So look up transcendental meditation. I myself went to Self-Realization Fellowship Church, subscribed to some lessons, cost me about $50 for the whole year of lessons. And then since then, I've really dug deep into a spiritual journey. That's me. Now, I'll look at my notes real quick. Now, I have managed to find a lot of more inner peace, like I said, on a Saturday night. Have enough. It's not that everything's going my way. As a matter of fact, there's things that are not going my way. Those sort of like, but instead of kind of creating that's, you label them as like, okay, that's bad. You kind of you're able to sort of say, okay, those things are happening. There's all these other things happening, and maybe I shouldn't label those things as bad, but maybe use them as fuel to project me to the next level. You see, and that level of detachment from the stimulus to your behavior, and that space in between is very valuable when you're talking about anxiety or making an irrational decision or not making a rational decision or making a better decision for what you're really after in the long-term, long game of life. Okay, so for example, give me 1 second. It's common, for example, to like say on a Saturday night, right? It's common to want to go out. Let's say I hadn't meditated. Let's say I hadn't done this meditation and hadn't done embraced myself and alone time, etc. Let's just say I had never done that. I would likely still be on a night like tonight trying to go to a club to, yes, hear good music, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's like if you're doing that to avoid feeling alone or feeling this sense of lack of peace within, there is a little difference, because now you're taking that void out into the public, and there's a lot of other people that are kind of there for the same reason, you see. And so it's not so far-fetched that's why there's a lot of one-night stands or rebounds or toxic relations forming, because both people are coming from this place within themselves of needing to change their state, and if they don't, they'll be left to themselves. And if they're left to themselves or alone, then they find themselves, panicking. So let's just say, play out that situation. Okay, let's say they're out there they start panicking. Okay, so this person's panicking, and what are they going to do now? Well, and if you're dating that person, they could call you panicked and maybe jealous or trying to control you because you're their property, right? And you're their property. So what does that mean? That means that you have to submit to their will because they could feel insecure. Does that make sense? So the insecurity in that person isn't going to go away until they face it. So I don't know what's going on with Elon Musk at all. But if Neil Strauss says he may be codependent, there's a likelihood that he hasn't really faced something deep within himself. And I'm not saying this disrespectfully at all. At all. I have nothing but respect for someone that's achieved such great things, wants to take people to Mars, and is a billionaire, and Tesla. Obviously there's such great things this person does. That's a given. What I'm saying is, just like Elon Musk, you can have some similarities. Obviously, you can have some relationship issues just like him. And what I'm further saying is that, don't be shocked if you yourself have a similar outcome, nor should he be shocked if he has a similar outcome to an everyday person if he hasn't faced that inner stuff. And I'm talking even with all of the power that he has. You see what I'm saying? And this goes so true for, not picking on him, I'm just saying he's the most recent example to me, but Brad Pitt or anyone with Tom Cruise, we all have to make this inner peace within ourselves. If not, it's going to be very difficult to sustain a long-term relationship, because we really have no way of, if we bring in that neediness into the relationship and we never really cope with it, it's going to come out. And so I would say I'm at the stage now that I can be more aware of this codependency, where in the past I wasn't. Okay, so it's sort of a long-winded idea here, all right, and it is what it is. It took this is a very complex process I'm trying to sum up here. So keep that in mind. And so let's just say in the past, and this is going to be a little longer video than I intended, but okay, so be it. So in the past, what people would do is it was common to see people would get married, and then when they would get married, they might marry somebody that they would eventually get tired of, or shortly, 2, 3, 4 years later, and start cheating on. Think about like Mad Men in the 50s, right? The show Mad Men. Think about the Mad Men in the 50s. They would start cheating on their wives and stuff like this, because it was just sort of the way they coped with all of this stuff. They needed something new. They really didn't dig deep into the inner stuff to find their soulmate or to understand. They kind of went through the societal expectations, like get married, have kids, and just get it done, right? And that's why they were like the baby boom generation and stuff like this, okay? The baby boom generation is where I just got married, and I'm part of the product of a baby boom generation. Okay, so I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is that now, now what we're seeing is people are wanting more. They're wanting more of a soulmate. They're wanting more of somebody they can be joyful with, fall in love, and marry that person, and have the whole game with that person. And this is a very new concept. As a matter of fact, getting married for love in itself is a very new concept. People didn't marry for love, 300, 400 years ago. That wasn't happening. Getting married for love could be just about maybe 100 years old. But now that we do get married for love in today's world, it's clearly an important thing. Okay? So that's what's going on today. As of now, it is more important to fall in love. Now, here it is. This is the new. What I would like for you to do is, instead of just being a codependent person all your life, like some of you watching are no longer codependent, you may be even less codependent than me, which is full respects to you. I know what it is to not be codependent now. So I would say on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being extremely codependent, and